Hi guys, this is MJ with the Rustic Maple Design family. Today we are going to be working with Modern Masters Copper Patina paint. I am showing you pictures of my gutters around my home. Basically I did this 5 years ago and I'm just showing you kind of how the patina copper looks. And what's cool about it is this paint actually has flecks of copper in it, and the patina continually patinas. So over the years, as it's rained or things like that, you can see this natural patina that has come all the way around my gutters now, which is totally cool. I love it. I do believe there is a chemical you can use to stop the patinaing if you want to. I didn't want to. So I'm just kind of showing you, like on a big project, what this paint can actually do. I've not had any issues with peeling, the shininess being, dimmed or anything like that. It's just slowly still patinaing, which I like. So you can use this on large projects, but today we're going to be using a couple canisters, and I'm just going to show you how to patina them. And then just kind of keep in mind, you can use this for just about anything really. It's so cool. So again, just kind of look, see how that's just got that natural. I did have a couple guys come because I had a downspout that I had to have added to the house, and they actually thought it was real copper. So they were very impressed when I told them the paint and how I did it. They just said it looked real. So if you ever want to do this to kind of give your house a facelift, go for it. I mean, it'd be great. So today we're just going to do a smaller project, and I'm going to kind of show you how to use it, how easy it is, how cool it is. I love Modern Masters paint. So just kind of come with me, and we're going to start learning how to patina with copper. Okay, so this is basically the system. So this is the Modern Masters. This is the copper paint, and it actually has flecks of copper, like I mentioned, which I think is totally cool, and that's where that oxidation comes into play. We're going to patina these two canisters. I got these from Hobby Lobby. They're just the real, the stainless steel that they have, basically. You can buy whatever containers you want. I'll put these on a link for you, same with the paint. So this is a 3-step system, I guess, is what you would call it. I have this blue liquid that is going to be what's sprayed on at the end that's going to cause the oxidation, which is going to start the patinaing process. Modern Masters has this system down. I love it. It's so easy and it's absolutely beautiful. They also have a bronze, I believe, and their patina on that one's a blue. I just prefer the copper because I just like the copper look better. Now they have a primer. I have never used someone else's primer with their stuff. So I bought this 5 years ago when I did my gutters, and I still have it today. I use their primer. I don't know if it's special or not, or if it's just a normal primer. I don't know, but I would just stick with the tried and true. Find yourself a good spray bottle. It doesn't have to be the kind I have. Just use a spray bottle. You just want it to be a consistent spray is the one thing that you're looking for, and we're going to fill that with the blue spray at the very end. And so we're just going to get to it. We're going to start with a primer. This little container that I have is this same primer that's in the big can, and I just want to use it up instead of using the big can. So I'm just going to get that up. Just noticed I do not have a paper plate. I'm using a 2-inch paintbrush. I will put this in your link below. You can use whatever paintbrush you want, but I like these particular paintbrushes. They're great. Let me go grab that paper plate real quick that I forgot to get. All right, here's my paper plate. We're pretty much ready. It's just easy. So this is just like you'd paint anything else. You're just wanting to paint the primer on. Now with the system, you do 2 coats of the primer, 2 coats of the copper paint, and then the spray. And on that second coat of copper paint, while it's wet, we're going to spray it. And that's pretty much the entire system. So just go ahead and get the primer all over your containers, and then we're going to fast forward this for you. And I'm just going to prime both of these pieces real quick. Okay, we're going to let this dry and come back for the second coat. Okay, now it's pretty much dry, so you definitely want it dry. See how the primer, you can still see the metal underneath. This is just the first coat. So we're going to start the second coat, and anybody that's done primer before, you definitely want to make sure that you're making it thick enough. So I just take out my paintbrush that I had in a Walmart bag to keep it moist in between coats, and we're going to put that second coat on. So make sure too when you're doing this that you're not letting there be any drips. You're kind of going in the same, when you're done with the coating, you're kind of flattening it out. Make sure with the primer on the second coat, it's very important that you completely cover the metal. So see how I have this? See how you can tell there's no metal coming through? Make sure that you have that kind of a look. Not like this, not like the first coat where you can still see the metal coming through. So make sure that you're doing that, and then finish, of course, both pieces. One thing I want to mention too, as we're getting to the second coat, we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to use the copper paint on the next ones. We're going to be doing 2 coats of the copper paint, and the second one is when we're going to be using the spray. So I'm going to show you how to do that basically. So just kind of finish up, get the second primer coat on, and then we're going to be starting with the copper paint next. Okay, that's pretty much it. So we are going to come back and we are going to do the copper paint next. All right, now both pieces are dry. So see how they're completely covered? There's not any of the metal showing through. That's the look that you're going for. This one, it's got a couple little spots that are still a little bit wet. This is the copper paint that I'm going to use. This is the copper paint that actually has the copper flecks in it, which you'll see here in a minute. I think I'm going to move this piece aside, and I'll finish that once it's dry. It's still got a couple wet spots. I'll just do the one piece, and then I'll come back and behind the scenes do the other one. So this is the copper paint, and if you look at it with the camera, what I like to see is, can you kind of see those little flecks on top? It's hard to see, but there's like metal pieces through it, which is kind of cool. So as I'm putting on the first coat, I did want to mention too, you can use this on so many different things, interior, exterior. I have a retaining wall that is railroad ties. So if you have railroad ties and they kind of need a facelift, I'm going to kind of tell you what I did, which is kind of cool. Basically, I had someone come out and give me an estimate to replace the retaining wall. It was $12,000 to $15,000, and I decided, no. So I was trying to figure out a way that I could keep my retaining wall but make it look better and more stable. So what I did is I took some old oil from car changes and I painted the entire thing, and it made it really deep and dark, which made it look beautiful. Then I went and bought some metal bars and I bent them in order to fit onto these railroad ties. Then I used some roofing screws and I attached it to the railroad ties. So this reinforced my railroad ties because the railroad ties were kind of discombobulated. They needed some help. So this stabilized them, but then I went back with this stuff. So I went back and I used the copper patina and I did this thing. I coppered them, painted them with copper, and I got the patina on them, and they look beautiful. Then I've got a project in the back. So I've got some wood beams back in my back patio, and I decided I want to have some trim that I'm going to make on the bottom, and I'm going to paint those copper patina so that they match my gutters. So there's these little things that you can kind of do that add an extra flair and I think more character to your home without costing a small fortune. So again, like I said, with this particular paint, I've had this for 5 years, and I'm getting down to the tail end of it, I admit, but it's lasted me, and it is quite expensive, but I will say for Modern Masters, their paint is really good and it lasts and it's not crappy. So you're kind of getting what you pay for. It's really good stuff. I like it. I've never had anything negative. If you guys have, you can always put it in the comments for me. And what would be great is if you decide to be bold and just kind of try some stuff at home, send me some pics. I'd love to see it because I love to see the copper with the patinaing. It's just so pretty. It really is. So go ahead and paint your whole canister. This is the first coat, so we're not as worried about it. We're just getting it, coated. Make sure you try to get it as level as you can as far as the paint goes so that you don't have a lot of brush strokes and stuff. And just kind of do this with both pieces. I'll do the second piece kind of behind the scenes and have that done. The second coat is where we're going to be doing the magic. So the next coat, remember, we need to have the paint wet, and then we're going to spray it with the liquid, and that is the chemical reaction that is going to cause the patinaing, which is really cool to see. And I'm going to have it as a time lapse so you can kind of see. I think it took within 15 to 20 minutes, I want to say, for it to finish patinaing. And I'd love for you to see that. So I just love seeing that. So I just want to, at the very end, we're going to see that happening. So just make sure that you don't have any drips. I'm going to coat the other one behind the scenes, and then we're going to be back and start the second coat here in a sec. Okay, now both pieces are done. This is the first coat. I am going to just work on the one, since we've just kind of been focusing on it today anyway. This is the liquid. Put it in your spray bottle. And again, like I said, you can either practice somewhere with a piece of metal off to the side so you can kind of figure out how much you want to spray, how little you want to spray. Or if you mess up, you can always wait for it to dry and then do another coat, an extra coat of the copper paint, and then re-patina it again. You can always do that. That's fine. So we're going to put that piece to a side and I'll finish it off. But this one I want to paint because it's smaller. I'm just going to paint it. Now, as I'm painting this, because I want you guys to see it, I'm going to do it in one fell swoop. So I want the entire thing sprayed at once. So I'm going to be keeping the sides wet as I'm spraying the whole thing because I want to go in front of the camera, spray the entire thing, and you can just watch it from the get-go, from it first being sprayed until it finishes like 15 to 20 minutes later and its patina's there. Now do remember too, these particular pieces, they will continue to patina, but it's not that much. Like if you're inside the house, unless you're in like a wet environment, it might patina even more, but it really doesn't change that much. It's really that outside oxidation, rain, that type of stuff that makes it patina more, which I like because that's your natural patinaing anyway. So with this one, I'm kind of keeping the whole thing wet. And if you don't want to do that, you can do part of your project, but remember you do want to keep the same uniform spray. So if you're going in a circular motion, or if you're going in a back and forth motion, or however you're doing it, you kind of want to match that throughout your entire project. So make sure that you keep that in mind if you're not able to do all your project and spray it all at once. The main thing is you have to have the paint wet in order for this chemical reaction to take place. So see how I'm just keeping it wet right now because I want to do the whole thing for you. Just keeping it wet, and then make sure this is your final look, so make sure your brush strokes are as minimal as possible. I have never sponged this. I guess you could. Maybe I'll try that sometime. I never have, so maybe that would make it look even more, not have the brush strokes. That sometimes it'll have a little bit of that. Not enough to even worry about it, but it might have a little. I might try that sometime. So we're almost there. All right, I'm getting ready to spray. I'm going to be spraying the entire thing, so I'm just going to kind of do it how I want. And this is where you just kind of have to play with it. So there we go. You can see a couple sprays going on. So I'm going to lightly spray this. So you can kind of see I've done it like 3 or 4 times. And that's just in all the different directions. So I'm doing the entire thing. And this is where the magic happens. It's so cool. So we're just going to time lapse it for you because you won't want to stand here and just sit here and just watch it the whole time. But it's so darn cool. I love the beauty of this. And really just be bold. Go out there and try different projects because you can do so much, and it's not that expensive. It's not that hard. And you can really just beautify and make your home more unique. You know, something different than what other people have. That's what I like to do. So just kind of enjoy it. I hope you guys like this. Send me some pics if you end up doing any stuff at home. I'd love to see them and share them.